What are the countries that you think are most crypto friendly right now? Which countries are being versatile and saying, let's bring these new opportunities in?
No comment
We're
at the
working
moment.
on it.
I'm working on it. So.
You'll stay in suspense. So what's interesting to me is, I've always thought these smaller countries can turn on a dime. You're from the United States. What do you see in terms of crypto in the United States in the mainstream? Is it easier to convince people in Antigua?
It's definitely easier to convince people in Antigua just because they're their own nation here. And one of the biggest industries in Antigua previously was online gaming. All these online poker websites and different gaming websites, a huge amount of them were based here in Antigua. And everything was going great, and there was lots of jobs in the country, and people were making money. And then the US government had their big giant clampdown on online gaming. And that really disrupted the entire country of Antigua and disrupted the economy here. And the country of Antigua literally sued the United States in the World Court that the US government set up. The US government lost, and the US government still refused to pay, I think it's in the tens of millions or maybe hundreds of millions of US dollars worth now that's owed to Antigua, and they still haven't paid them for that. So, but they understand the way the US government cut off all the online gaming was by blocking the payments. But now that we have an uncensorable payment network in the form of cryptocurrency, all these local people here are potentially looking at that. Oh, maybe there's going to be a revival of the online gaming industry, and it can be based here in Antigua again, thanks to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin Cash, not thanks to the banks, because they're all under the thumb of the US and the Europeans basically control and dictate to them what they can and can't do.
And to a certain extent, the citizenship as well. Fortunately, in a sense, Antigua was the last country to lose access to Canada. Perhaps a blessing in disguise that now they don't have to kowtow to the US or to Canada. They do have to perhaps somewhat to Europe or to the UK. Do you think, as you travel around the Caribbean, I know you're a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Do you think people there feel oppressed, perhaps is too strong of a word, by all these external forces, and that's why they're looking at crypto as an opportunity to make a living, basically?
Oppressed is a bit of a strong word. I don't know how much you can say like that you're oppressed by the state of nature, but for anybody that's read Ludwig von Mises, you'll remember him talking about in Human Action that man is in a constant state of uneasiness, and you're always looking for how you can improve your position and your circumstance in the world. And so that's anytime you see something, whether it's a piece of food or a chair to sit in or money that you can zip around the world without needing permission from anybody to send or receive it, that's improving your position in the world and your ability to navigate through life and feel happier as you go through it. So anytime people come across anything like that, it's going to be attractive to them. And anybody who's waited in line at a bank or pulled their hair out from trying to deal with a bank, when they see how easy it is to permissionlessly set up a cryptocurrency wallet and then send and receive payments with somebody all over the world, where you literally don't even have to give your name to do it, that's a really, really big improvement in somebody's life. And so people are going to be attracted to that. But one thing I can say is that the people here in Antigua are a bit more open-minded than some of their neighboring islands here in the Caribbean. They're much more willing to talk to strangers and try new things, and it's been really, really fantastic to see the Bitcoin Cash meetups we've had here. Some of them, I think, close to 100 people have shown up to, and that's a lot for a country that's this small. It would be a huge meetup if we got 100 people to show up at the meetup in Tokyo, where we have a metropolitan area of 35 million people. Right here in little old Antigua with 100,000 people, we're having similar sized meetups than we have in Tokyo. So it's really, really impressive to see just how much open-mindedness there are from the Antiguans here.
And why do you think that is versus the other islands or versus other countries?
Well, I think part of it also is maybe the coronavirus lockdowns around the world have really decimated the economies here and around the world. And so when you're having a really hard time with your traditional business and the government's locking everything down or telling you you're not allowed to open or whatever, you're going to be a lot more receptive to new ways to do things.
And so for the people who are still in Bitcoin, obviously they've done very well recently. Most cryptos have done very well recently. What do you say to the folks who are getting into Bitcoin, who have done well and say, why don't I stick with this? It is the brand. Just the same way I would invest in real estate in the United States and not in Antigua, not in Georgia.
it's fine. They have done very fine investing, and that's a good thing. The more people that make more money in Bitcoin, that's a great thing. I want to see people successful all over the world. But at this point, I feel like Bitcoin is more a game of musical chairs with people getting in and buying in. And their hope, if you listen to them, they buy it with dollars now. Their hope is that they'll be able to sell it for more dollars later on. That's not a long-term sustainable strategy. And then their other hope is that maybe they'll be able to figure out the technological platform to make Bitcoin usable for payments. And as Michael Saylor and others have been talking about, you'll have all these custodial platforms where people are able to use them custodially. Well, I think you've lost the vast, vast majority of the attractive part about them if you're having to use a custodian. Yeah, it's a bit better than the dollar because they can't print as many as they want at any time. But we've already seen it happen with Bitcoin. We've had fractional reserve platforms where everybody thinks they have one number of Bitcoin in the platform, but it turned out the platform had been hacked, people had lost Bitcoins, and it turns out you don't get them all back. So anytime you have to use a custodian to hold your Bitcoin, you're at their mercy. And there will be lots and lots of custodians, but we want people to have the option to be able to hold the cryptocurrency themselves. And if you take away the option of people being able to hold the cryptocurrency themselves, you open up the door for all sorts of shenanigans where you can have fractional reserve stuff and hackings. And for custodians as well, the more cryptocurrency that's being held by a custodian, the bigger a target it becomes for hackers. Whereas if you have 1 billion people around the world all holding $1,000 of crypto, you have 1 billion different potential targets for hackers. If you have PayPal or Cash App or whoever holding $100 billion worth of crypto, you have one single giant target that they're going to be after, and that's much, much more dangerous to cryptocurrency in general when you have these giant centralized institutions that are acting as custodians for everybody. And I'm not opposed to custodians in general. You just have to have the ability to be able to do self-custodianship where you hold the funds yourselves.
What are the countries that you think are most crypto-friendly right now? Which countries are being versatile and saying, let's bring these new opportunities in?
Antigua, without a doubt, is one of the ones towards the top of the list. There's really a huge amount of adoption and welcomeness from the government to cryptocurrencies in general and Bitcoin Cash specifically. If the world wasn't locked down with Corona travel restrictions here, Antigua would be it would probably be the top cryptocurrency vacation destination. You can literally pay for just about everything here. So when vacations are allowed again, I invite everybody to come here and give things a try. But Singapore has also been doing a fantastic job of welcoming this sort of entrepreneurship and cryptocurrency adoption. Japan has been surprisingly welcoming as well, although as someone who's lived in Japan for a long time and speaks fluent Japanese, I can tell you a big part of the reason why this adoption's been happening in Japan is that all the Japanese bureaucrats, they know that Bitcoin was created by Satoshi Nakamoto, obviously a Japanese person, and they have a lot of nationalistic pride where they want the entire world to know what a wonderful thing was created by this Satoshi Nakamoto person. And even in 2012, I think it was the Japanese Central Bank, or I'd have to check my email exchange, but they reached out to me wanting to meet with Satoshi directly because they wanted to talk to him in Japanese about Bitcoin, and they didn't understand that Satoshi was just some anonymous name that somebody was using. But around the world, we're seeing a lot. But a big change that we've seen in the US that I think is a problem. In the early days, everybody knew Bitcoin was money. And then the IRS came out with a ruling that no, Bitcoin is property, and we're going to treat it like property, and it's going to be subject to capital gains tax and this and that. I think that was a disaster for Bitcoin adoption. Bitcoin was supposed to be money from day one. And I'm working on getting it ruled to be the official money of a particular country. And if that's the case, it'll really open the door for investors in the US and Europe and all over the place to be able to invest in it just like doing any other Forex trade. And it'll help get rid of a lot of the capital gains tax requirements for Bitcoin Cash specifically.
What country do you think might do that?
No comment at the moment. I'm working on it. So.
You'll stay in suspense. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, Learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.